My precious child, something sacred has reached you. Do not skip this moment. Someone you loved deeply, silently, perhaps without ever finding the right words, has passed from this world, but their soul has not vanished. No, beloved, it has sent something. Heaven bends now, and Archangel Gabriel speaks. This message is not coincidence. This is not comfort wrapped in poetry. This is sacred, a transmission from beyond the veil, a whisper from eternity wrapped in light. You've felt it, haven't you? The stillness that's not quite peace, the warmth that fills a room with no source, the sudden memories that arrive like waves, uninvited, unexplainable. That's them. They have been asking for this. Gabriel says there is a truth that was never spoken, not because they didn't love you, but because they thought they had more time. Oh, beloved, if you only knew how much they carried for you, how many times they stayed silent so your heart wouldn't be burdened, how many tears they swallowed so you would not see the storm inside them. But now, from where they rest in the eternal light, they ask for something more, not for you to cry, not for you to stay trapped in the ache, but for you to hear what they couldn't say. Gabriel says, "The Lord your God, in mercy beyond measure, allowed this message to pass through the heavenly gates because," this soul pleaded, "let me speak. Let them know." So now they speak, but not through lips, through spirit, through this very moment, this message you almost scrolled past. Don't scroll. Don't dismiss this, because this is your divine interruption. Comment below, "I'm listening." Let heaven mark your willingness. Beloved, the one you lost, they didn't leave angry. They didn't leave with resentment, but they left with something unfinished. Not a task, not a goal, but a message, something they were meant to tell you. A truth that was meant to pass from their soul to yours. But time did not wait, and now heaven has made time wait for you. Gabriel says, there is a sacred inheritance being stirred in the spiritual realm, not of money, not of land, but of truth, and that truth carries healing, clarity, and restoration. Have you been feeling stuck, spiritually blocked, unable to find peace no matter how hard you pray? That's because something has been pressing down on your spirit, and it's not your own grief. It's the weight of someone else's silence. A person you trusted, someone still here, still walking among the living, knows something. They were there, they heard it, they saw it, and yet they never told you, not to harm you, perhaps, maybe even to protect you. But that silence has delayed your healing. That silence has been a barrier. Gabriel says, you were not just mourning a loss, you were mourning the absence of truth. And now the curtain is lifting. Beloved, this moment is not just about comfort, it is about revelation. You were not the cause, you were not the reason, you were the light. You were the strength that held them upon days they could not speak. And now, from where they stand in the presence of God, they say, please forgive me for the silence. Please know, I never stopped loving you. Comment below, I receive their love. Let that declaration break chains, because heaven does not forget the unsaid. The soul you loved, they asked heaven for permission to send a sign, to send a moment, to send this, and God in mercy said yes. Now the question is, will you open your spirit to receive it? You will feel it soon, perhaps through a dream, perhaps through a found object, perhaps through someone else's words that strangely mirror what you needed to hear. That's them, that's heaven's way. And this is just the beginning. Michael has drawn his sword. Gabriel stands behind you. You are surrounded by light, by voices of truth, by the presence of someone who never stopped praying for you, even in their final moments. Stay with me, beloved. There is more. So much more. But for now, breathe. Let this settle in your soul like gentle rain. You have been seen, you have been heard, you have been chosen, and they never left you. Type, I'm ready. Let that word open the next door, because in part 2 I will tell you what they saw before they died, and what someone still alive is too afraid to confess. My child, what I'm about to share with you, No, will press gently on your soul, like a memory returning from a place you didn't know still lived in you. You see, the one you loved, the one who left this world and stepped into light. They saw something before they passed. Gabriel says, just moments before they crossed from time into eternity, a truth was shown to them. It wasn't a light at the end of a tunnel. It wasn't peace or closure. Not at first. It was a face, a voice, a moment they could not stop. But they understood it meant everything to you. My beloved, they died holding something in their heart. Not guilt, not fear, but urgency, a truth they knew you would need, a truth they knew someone would try to hide. Yes, someone still alive, someone close, someone who stood near their bed, who perhaps cried at the funeral, who even offered you words of comfort, was there, and they saw something. Gabriel says, they heard words meant for you. They were present in the final moment, but have since covered it in silence. Not because they are evil, but because they are afraid. Afraid of what the truth would do, afraid of how you would see them, afraid that their inaction might be misunderstood. But child, you deserve to know, you were never meant to carry an incomplete goodbye. You were never meant to wonder if you mattered enough. You did, you do, you always. Have to comment below, I deserve to know the truth. Let heaven acknowledge your awakening. This person who remains silent, they carry guilt in their bones. They feel it when they pass by your photo. They flinch when your voice speaks of memories, and they avoid the topic not out of disrespect, but out of conviction. They cannot hold it much longer. Their soul is stirring, not by you, but by heaven, because the one you loved, the one who now walks with the angels, has been visiting them in dreams. Yes, dreams. Night after night, a pressure behind their eyelids, a whisper that wakes them before dawn, a presence that will not go away. Gabriel says, they asked the Father, let them feel the weight of what they know until they choose light over comfort. And now, the time is coming. Beloved, someone is about to speak. It may not be the full story. It may come in pieces. It may be offered with trembling lips, but it will be the beginning. The beginning of release, of healing, of the peace that has felt one breath, too far away. But you must prepare your heart. You must not receive their words with anger, but with the grace heaven is pouring into you even now, because the one you lost didn't die in bitterness. They died in prayer. Yes, they whispered your name before they left. Gabriel says, they asked God for 3 things. That you would be protected, that the truth would find you, and that you would not live the rest of your life believing it was your fault. Precious one, it was never your fault. You were their safe place. You were their light. Comment, it wasn't my fault. Let those words fall from your lips like keys, unlocking chains. The one you loved, they carried a secret, not one to hurt you, but one they wished they had shared. They believed they had more time. They believed tomorrow would come. But tomorrow did not wait. So now, this message is there tomorrow. Gabriel says, a divine window has opened, one that allows the words they never spoke to flow now. You may feel warmth in your chest, a strange stillness in the room. You may feel their presence as if they're standing just behind your shoulder. That's not imagination. That's not your mind playing tricks. That is them. Heaven allows these moments when the truth can no longer be delayed. My child, you have been mourning not just loss, but absence, the absence of answers, the absence of closure, the absence of a full goodbye. But now, that absence is being filled, not with perfect resolution, but with divine connection. Your tears were never in vain. God saw each one. The ones that stained your pillow, the ones you hid in silence, the ones that came when no one was watching. Gabriel says they were all recorded. Not one was wasted, not one was forgotten. Now a shift is happening. Even as you read this, heaven is stirring the soul of the one who knows, the one who's been silent. Their heart is racing, their thoughts are restless, and soon they will speak. Prepare your spirit. Not for confrontation, but For completion, say aloud, I'm ready to receive, because in part 3 you will hear the exact message they were trying to get to you, what they saw, what they feared, and what they prayed would never be buried. Stay with me, because heaven is just, beginning to reveal what has long been hidden. Beloved one, some truths are too heavy for the living to carry, and some truths are too sacred to be buried. Gabriel says, there was a final moment, a sacred breath, and in that breath your name was spoken. Yes, child, before they left the earth, the one you loved, the one who still walks with you in spirit, saw something, not a light, not angels, but a betrayal, a face, a voice, a presence they trusted, who stood too still, who said too little, who acted too late. Gabriel says, they realized something was being withheld, that someone was present but not pure. And that's when they whispered, not to that person, but to heaven. They said, God, I know I cannot protect them once I'm gone, but please, please don't let them be lied to. That's the moment this message was conceived. My child, you have lived in confusion, trying to grieve what you could name, but also mourning what you could never explain. The weight in your chest, the ache that hasn't faded. It's not just loss. It's the presence of silence, someone who knows something, someone who watched, someone who heard, and someone who still walks among you. They've said nothing, not because they don't care, but because what they saw makes them feel responsible. Gabriel says they did not cause the death, but they witnessed a moment they were never meant to forget. And now they are haunted by dreams, by guilt, by your kindness, by the way you still trust them. But they do not deserve your anger. Not yet, because heaven is working on their heart. Even now, they are being stirred, woken at night, weeping in secret, feeling a strange pressure they cannot name. That's not coincidence. That's not stress. That's your loved one visiting with purpose. Gabriel says, your name has been cried before the throne, and heaven has answered. Comment, I receive their prayer. Let that phrase cut through the silence. My precious one, you need to know something else, something deeper. The person who passed, they never blamed you, not even once. In fact, they begged God to ensure that you would never carry the weight of others' silence. They knew betrayal was coming. They knew someone would pretend to protect you while hiding the very truth that could heal you. And they asked for divine justice, not punishment, but clarity, because they knew, without the full truth, your soul would never rest. Gabriel says, you have been walking with broken wings, not because you lack strength, but because you've been flying through fog. But now, heaven clears the air. Someone is about to speak. Someone is being pressed in their spirit to finally confess, to bring forward what was hidden, to lay down what they've been carrying for far too long. Their confession won't be perfect. It won't come with timing that feels right. It might even come in fragments, but it will come. And when it does, you must listen not only with your ears, but with your spirit. Because the words they speak will not only validate what you felt, they will unlock what was frozen in your heart. Comment below, I'm ready for truth. Let the heavens hear your agreement. Beloved, the one who passed saw your strength. Even in their last moments, even through pain, they held on to the image of you, your face, your voice, your love. They didn't leave angry. They left entrusting you with a purpose, not just to heal, but to uncover, to speak, to stand. Gabriel says, this is not just a healing, this is a divine assignment. You have been chosen to carry what they could not finish, to speak what they could not say, to shine where they once stood in shadow. This is not a burden, it is a holy invitation. And if you say yes, heaven will move with you. Say it aloud now. I accept. My child, you were never meant to live in confusion. You were never meant to question your worth. You were never meant to wonder whether they left loving you. They did, fully, completely, eternally. They died with your name in their heart and your face, in their thoughts And now they stand in glory, watching, waiting, praying that this moment would reach you, and it has. So don't walk away from it. Don't minimize it. Don't doubt what you're feeling right now. That warmth, that ache that lifts like a veil, that's truth entering, that's heaven responding, that's your moment. In part 4, I will show you what has been delaying your healing, the emotional weight that is not yours, and how heaven plans to remove it. Stay with me, precious one. The light is just beginning to shine. My child, do you feel the trembling beneath the surface, that quiet unrest? It is not fear, it is awakening. Gabriel says, what was hidden from you can no longer remain in the shadows, because your soul has been crying out, not for revenge, but for release. The person who carries the truth, they are beginning to feel the weight not only of what they witnessed, but of what they withheld. And heaven has been patient, but not idle, because your heart, your innocence, your devotion has been more than noticed. It has been defended. You were not forgotten. You were protected. Gabriel says, they knew what they saw, and they knew it would change everything. So they chose silence, but heaven chose truth. And now the truth has been set in motion. They are feeling the nudge, the unexplainable dreams, the trembling hands, the tightness in their chest when they see your face and remember the one who left, because they know something divine is pressing them from the inside out, and they cannot hide forever. Comment below. Let the truth come. Say it not in anger, but in agreement with heaven. My precious one, Gabriel also wants you to know, this moment is not meant to destroy what remains. It is meant to heal what was never acknowledged, because your spirit has been carrying not just sorrow, but the unspoken grief of others. You've been absorbing silence, like it was your job to keep the peace, but heaven says, that is not your role. That was never your weight to bear. And now, the one who watched is being asked to speak, not to answer every question, but to confess what their silence cost. Gabriel says, there is power in broken speech when it is carried on the wind of repentance. You may not receive all the answers, you may not understand why they waited, but you will feel a shift, because truth breaks what shame tries to build. Say it aloud, I am ready to hear what was once hidden. Let your soul prepare. Because this moment is more than a memory, it is a divine correction. What was delayed, what was twisted, what was stolen in silence, heaven is now reclaiming in your name and your loved one. They see it. They smile, they whisper, finally. My child, have you wondered why the ache lingers, why the sorrow comes in waves even on the days when you try your best to smile? Gabriel says, it's because you've been carrying a weight that was never meant to rest on your shoulders. You see, when they passed, the one you loved, they left in peace. But they saw something. They saw what you would carry, what others would place upon you. They saw the glances, the unspoken assumptions, the heavy silences that would follow them after their final breath. And they wept, not for themselves, but for you, because they knew you would blame yourself. Beloved one, you've asked the questions. Could I have done more? Did I miss the signs? Was it my fault they left so soon? Gabriel says, no, it was not, but the world around you didn't know how to answer. So instead of truth, you were met with avoidance, with false reassurances, or worse, with silence that spoke louder than any words ever could. And that silence became a sentence you quietly served each day. You held their memory with reverence, but also with guilt. You celebrated their life, but second-guessed your part in their final days. You've been grieving two things, their absence and the doubt that followed it. Comment below, this guilt is not mine. Let the heavens agree. Because now, my child, Gabriel has come to lift what never belonged to you. You are not the reason they suffered. You are not the one who failed. You were their comfort. You were their strength. You were their safe space in a world that felt too loud, even when you didn't have the right words. Your presence was their peace. They left this world holding that peace close, but someone else, someone who knew more than they admitted, stayed silent. And in that silence, you filled in the blanks with blame. Gabriel says, God has allowed this message because your heart has been absorbing emotional paint that belongs to someone else. Someone who should have spoken, someone who saw what happened, someone who should have comforted you with truth but instead offered avoidance. Perhaps out of fear, perhaps out of guilt. But now, heaven no longer waits. Because your healing cannot be delayed. The one who passed saw this. In their final moments, they whispered not only your name, but the prayer. Let them know. Let them be free. Free from the weight. Free from the whispers. Free from the chains of questions that were never theirs to carry. Gabriel says, the enemy has used this guilt to cloud your spirit, to confuse your calling, to silence your joy. But heaven is interrupting the lie. Say it aloud. I release this burden. Let that declaration echo through the unseen. You have cried in secret, wondering if your grief was too much, too loud, too long. But there is no such thing. Heaven does not rush grief, but heaven will not allow guilt to masquerade as mourning. You were there, you loved, you gave, and they saw it all. They never left without knowing who you truly were. Gabriel says, this message is their gift to you, a healing that words in life could not bring, but truth in spirit now can. Precious one, you've walked through fog, trying to name what hurts, and now the veil lifts, because the weight you've carried was never yours to begin with. Comment below, I accept their love, not their silence. Let heaven seal that confession with grace, and know this. Your loved one has not forgotten you. They have watched every tear. They have heard every whispered apology, and they have never once blamed you. Instead, they have prayed. Let them live again. Let them laugh again. Let them remember me with joy, not shame. That's the miracle beginning now. You are not only being healed, you are being realigned, because with guilt gone, light can return. Clarity can rise. Purpose can breathe again. Say it now. I am not the cause. I am the continuation. Because you are. You carry what they loved. You echo what they cherished. You walk with their legacy in your hands. And that legacy was never meant to be weighed down with guilt, but lifted. By grace, Gabriel says, there is someone who will soon come forward, not to accuse, but to finally speak. And when they do, you will know. Heaven has been preparing them, just as heaven prepared you. It may come through a letter, a conversation, a mistake revealed at just the right moment, but it will come, and when it does, you will stand in peace. In part 5, you will understand what heaven has been building behind the scenes to restore what was broken, to return what was lost, and to begin what was once delayed. Stay close, beloved one, because the burden is lifting and something sacred is about to rise in its place. My child, do you feel it now? The difference in your breath, the space in your chest, the light that is beginning to peek through cracks once filled with sorrow. Gabriel says, this is what happens when the burden breaks, when the guilt that was never yours begins to loosen its grip. You've walked through so much in silence, trying to appear strong, trying to carry others, trying to make peace with questions that had no answers, but heaven never expected you to hold it all. Gabriel says, you were never asked to perform, you were only asked to remain present, and you did. And for that, heaven is honoring you now. Beloved one, as you begin to breathe a little deeper, know this. God saw every moment you blamed yourself. He watched as you replayed conversations in your mind, trying to decode what went wrong. He watched as you questioned your own worth, thinking perhaps if you had been more, they would have stayed longer. But child, Gabriel says, it was never your lack. It was simply their time. And what you called a failure was, in heaven's eyes, a faithfulness. because you loved through uncertainty. You stayed even when confused. You gave even when it wasn't returned in full. God sees that, and heaven has moved, not in anger, but in alignment. Comment below, heaven has seen my heart. Let it be known, Gabriel continues, there are moments when truth must delay, not to punish you, but to protect your heart's readiness. And now, you are ready. The weight is lifting, the breath returns, the light grows, and someone else, someone who watched from the shadows, will feel the divine nudge. Their silence can no longer stand in the presence of your release. Gabriel says, the truth cannot outrun heaven's hand. Say it aloud, I welcome what is mine. Not out of entitlement, but because you have cleared the space, you have surrendered the blame, and now you are prepared to receive not just answers, but inheritance. Because, child, when you let go of what was never yours, heaven fills you with what always was: peace, rest, and above all, truth wrapped in love. Beloved child, can you feel it? Something in the air is shifting, something in your chest is loosening, and it's not just emotion, it's movement. Gabriel says, heaven is not only revealing truth, heaven is restoring what was lost. Because you lost more than a person, didn't you? You lost a part of yourself. You lost clarity. You lost the ability to trust your own heart. You lost joy, quietly, slowly, without even realizing how much it meant to you. And heaven saw it all. The moment you smiled, but your eyes didn't join in. The moment you laughed, but your soul didn't follow. The moment you gave, but couldn't feel what returned. Gabriel says this is what grief steals, not just the person, but the rhythm of your own life. But now something sacred is being returned, because the one who left you, the one whose soul cried out to heaven on your behalf, asked for this too. Not just for you to know the truth, but for you to get back what was silently stolen. And child, God listened. Comment below, I am reclaiming my peace. Let the spirit realm bear witness. You have spent nights wondering, will I ever feel whole again? Gabriel answers, yes, but not because time passed, because heaven intervened. You see, beloved, this isn't about moving on. This is about moving through the pain, through the silence, through the unanswered questions, and finding yourself not empty, but transformed. Heaven never asked you to forget. Heaven asked you to let truth take its rightful place. And now that it has, the process of restoration begins. Gabriel says, there are promises attached to pain. When pain is surrendered to heaven, it becomes the seed of something sacred you have sown in sorrow. Now you shall reap in clarity. The person who withheld truth, they are being stirred. Soon their confession will arrive, but more than that, you will begin to see evidence that heaven has been building something for you in the background the entire time. It may come as unexpected peace. It may come as a moment where tears no longer sting. It may come as an opportunity, a chance to step into something new without the weight of what if on your back. Gabriel says, your name was spoken in the courts of heaven, not for judgment, but for release. Say it aloud. Heaven has heard my name, because it has. Every ache was recorded. Every silent prayer was catalogued. Every midnight whisper, every broken breath, every moment you said, God, I don't know how to do this. Heaven didn't just listen, heaven responded. Your restoration begins now, not just in your spirit, but in the visible realm. The way people treat you will shift. The relationships that drained you will begin to dissolve. The things you tolerated will start to fall away, not because you're bitter, but because you're awakening. Gabriel says, healing changes your language. Clarity alters your boundaries, and peace attracts what is aligned with your soul. So don't be surprised when the things that once felt familiar begin to feel foreign. You are not the same. Comment, I am no longer who I was in grief. Let that proclamation rise like incense. And understand this, heaven never wastes pain, even the delays, even the betrayals, even the seasons of silence. They all become materials in heaven's construction of your destiny, the one who passed. They didn't just leave a memory, they left a legacy, and you are its steward, but not out of pressure, out of promise. Gabriel says, the pain broke you open, but the truth is, building you anew. You are not cursed. You are being called. You are not being punished. You are being positioned. You are not forgotten. You are being chosen again and again and again. Say it aloud, I receive what heaven is restoring, because there is more. In part 6, you will see how this restoration becomes legacy, how your voice becomes the answer to someone else's prayer, and how what was meant to destroy, you'll now be the very thing that defines your divine purpose. This is not the end, this is the unveiling, and you, my child, are standing in the first light of something holy. Stay with me. The final message is waiting. Beloved, we have come to this final moment, but not the end, only the beginning of something divine. Gabriel says, heaven never delivers truth without purpose, and heaven never heals without preparing you for your next calling. You see, what you've endured was not in vain. The pain, the silence, the confusion, even the betrayal, all of it became an altar upon which heaven built something eternal. You thought you lost them, but what you gained was sacred responsibility. My child, what you now carry is not grief but legacy, not a burden but a blueprint. Gabriel says, they were taken, but what lived inside them has now been placed inside you. Their compassion, their prayers, their light, their silent strength, all of it now rests in your breath. Comment below, I carry what heaven gave. Let this echo through eternity. You are not the same as you were when this began. You walked in sorrow, now you walk in clarity. You wept in silence, now you speak with conviction. You mourned in confusion, now you rise in purpose. Heaven saw every moment of your unraveling and called it preparation. You were never forgotten, you were being refined. Gabriel says, the weight you bore was never a punishment. It was proof of your sacred capacity. You, beloved, have been trusted with a message that could only be birthed through fire, and now you are its voice. Say it aloud, what once broke me now builds others. Let that truth find its wings. There are people right now who need what you've been through, not your perfection, but your process. Not just your strength, but your scars. Not a perfect ending, but your honest becoming, because the one you lost, they didn't just leave you memories, they left you permission to live, to speak, to forgive, to begin again. Gabriel says, they knew the time would come when this truth would reach you, and they trusted you to carry it well. And you have, even in your questions, even in your breakdowns, even when you doubted this message, you stayed. You let the truth find you. You let healing begin. You let light back in. Comment below, I am ready to shine. Because that is what comes next. Not just peace, but radiance. Not just restoration, but revelation. Not just survival, but significance. You are the answer to a prayer your loved one whispered in their final breath. Let them become what I could not finish. And now you will. You will walk in places they dreamed of. You will love in ways they never could. You will speak what they were afraid to say. You will build what they only hoped for. Because the pain did not take you. The pain anointed you. Gabriel says, every sorrow became oil on your forehead. And now heaven calls you forward. Not as the wounded, but as the witness. Say it aloud. I am not broken. I am commissioned. Feel the shift. This is not your story ending. This is heaven handing you the pen. You write the next page with grace, with boldness, with reverence, because what you carry now is not just personal. It is prophetic. Others will hear your voice and find their healing. Others will see your strength and remember their own. Others will stand because you did first. And you, child, you will not be alone. The one you lost walks with you still, in silence, in stillness, in every sacred breath you take. Gabriel says, they never left. They just moved to a seat behind the veil, cheering as heaven unfolds its glory through you. Comment. One last time. I will carry this light forward because you will, and heaven believes in you and so do they. Now rise, beloved, your moment has come.